Hello and welcome to my first Q&A video. So the way this will work is that I will answer the questions by person. You have all asked me a bunch of questions and I will answer at least 3 of yours. If your question is not answered, or at least if one of your questions isn't answered, that means that someone who asked fewer questions than you did probably has asked that very same question and it will be answered eventually. So with that out of the way, let us begin. The first person whose questions will be answered is Foggy Memory J. They ask, if you could make your own anime, what genre would it be in? It would probably be dark fantasy, just like Tokyo Ghoul. Whenever I come up with a story to write, it almost always falls into that category. I mean, I love fantasy, but when you combine it with darker stuff, it also includes a lot of themes that you can include, and a lot of great character development, and it's just my favorite genre, so yeah, that'd probably be it. Or if I had to choose another genre, it would be a science fiction dystopia, kind of like Psycho-Pass, except done better, hopefully. Their next question is, what is your favorite character type? Probably the cold and distant ones. I can't exactly remember the name of the archetype, but the most famous example would be Kanade Tachibana from Angel Beats. Mainly because they're the best when it comes to character development in my opinion. They can grow from being cold, despondent, depressed, and distant into being warm and caring and humane. And that's my favorite kind of character development. Their final question is, what anime do you think doesn't deserve whatever praise or criticism it receives? I suppose I could go with the obvious answer to praise and say Sword Art Online and Guilty Crown, but I want my real answer to be Psycho-Pass and to some extent Attack on Titan. Yeah, as much as I like Attack on Titan, it is way too overhyped. As for criticism, I don't really have one. Sorry. I guess the best answer would be 11 Eyes, but even then it has a lot of critical problems. Anyway, thank you Foggy Memory J. The next person to ask questions is Mary Johnson. They ask, what are your favorite shipments if you do ship? Well, I actually ship quite a lot. Let's go down the list, shall we? We've got Raku and Onadera from Nisekoi, Kaneki and Toka from Tokyo Ghoul, Vasha Stampede and Merle from Trigun, Eren and Mikasa from Attack on Titan, and the Holy Roman Empire in Italy from Hetalia. Their next question is, what is the worst anime you've ever seen? This is actually kind of a complicated question. The worst anime I've completed? Codebreaker. It's critically bad, and I did not enjoy it. The worst anime I have ever seen, period? Needless. I can only get to episode 7 before I dropped it. It's just awful. Their final question? Who's your most hated anime character that isn't from School Days? Eloise Trancy from Black Butler 2. He is the definition of everything that I hate about humanity. That is all. Alright, thank you Mary Johnson. The next person to ask questions is Alex Cook. They ask, how did you get into anime? Well, around a year and a half ago, I had a friend who was really into anime, and she showed me this anime called Black Butler. And then she also showed me Tsubasa Chronicles sometime later. And then, a few months later, I was kind of like, you know what, why don't I check out the rest of this anime? It looks all interesting and stuff. And yeah, that's what landed me here. Their next question is, are there any anime that you recognize as good but can't get into? Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I recognize that anime is good, and it is a great deconstruction of the magical girl genre and told in a very interesting way, and does have some pretty good characters and phenomenal animation, but I can't get into it personally. There are some problems with it that I do recognize, and it just bothered me too much, which is unfortunate because it is a good show. Their next question is, what inspired your YouTube channel? Mainly Shadow ACS, He's the one who inspired me to start reviewing things on my blog, and then I decided to expand to my YouTube channel so I can possibly get more followers on it. Yeah, the YouTube channel is kind of just an extension of my blog, but in all honesty, I do enjoy making videos a lot more than I do writing reviews on my blog, so I'm considering making this my new place of existence instead of my blog and my YouTube channel. But the thing is, I have barely enough time to make these videos as it is, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do video reviews. That is why I have my blog and I have my YouTube channel. Their final question is, if you could be in any anime world, what world would it be? Probably the world of Fullmetal Alchemist, because I find it to be very, very fascinating, and it's the only world I really know a lot about. Also, because I can learn how to use alchemy, which is, in my opinion, the best anime power there is. Alright, thank you, Alex Cook. The next person to ask questions would be Diaz Fern 13. Their first question, what was your gateway anime? Well, as I stated before, I first began officially watching anime after I first saw Black Butler, but I was actually introduced to the idea of Japanese animation after watching a lot of Miyazaki films, the first one being Spirited Away. So technically, my gateway anime was, in fact, Spirited Away. Their next question is, what's your favorite anime movie? The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. I could go on for days about how much I love this anime movie and how perfect it is, but we don't have a lot of time, and I will save that for a future video. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Their final question is, what's your least favorite anime? Now, it may seem like I've already answered this question, but to be honest, there's a difference between worst and least favorite. Codebreaker and Needless were the worst anime that I have seen critically, but the anime that I do not want to see ever again in my life would be the second half of Sword Art Online. It's just so bad. It's insultingly bad. And I don't like it at all. There are some redeeming parts of Needless and even Codebreaker, but those are just the worst. My least favorite would be the second half of Sword Art Online. Alright, thank you to Diaz Fern 13. The next person to ask questions would be Conan Doyle. They ask, do you have an anime character that you don't really like but everyone else seems to love? Haruhi Suzumiya, I guess. I don't exactly get why there's a huge fan base surrounding her. I mean, she's kind of annoying, and while she is likable, I don't think she is of God status at all. Their next question is, in your opinion, which anime has the best animation that you have ever seen? Terror in Resonance. I know that a lot of people will probably expect me to put Fate Zero or Karen no Kyokai here, but in all honesty, Terror in Resonance has beautiful animation. It's hard to believe that Studio Mappa has done nothing else before this, and I will continue supporting the studio until the end of time. Their next question is, what is your favorite novel of all time? Well, technically it's a graphic novel, but Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. I have a review of it on my blog if you'd like to see why I love it so much. I'll post the link in the description. But if I had to go by regular novels, Looking for Alaska by John Green. Their next question is, what is your favorite movie of all time? The Pianist. It's a very tragic Holocaust story, but it's also very inspiring. I love it to death. But it's a very hard movie to recommend. If you're in the mood to cry or be inspired, go ahead and watch it, but to the average viewer, it would probably be way too intense. Their final question is, what music do you listen to? My favorite genres are rock and alternative. Some of my favorite bands are 21 Pilots, Panic at the Disco, and Fall Out Boy, just to give you an idea. And I have a playlist of all the music I like to listen to, and I will feature it in the description. Well, thank you Conan Doyle, and the next questions will be answered in the next video. I'll see you guys then.